learned to juggle, so I could not too expert level, but like I think I might be able to get some bowling pins going. But definitely 3 balls is pretty easy.
There we go.
There we go.
And hey, there you go.
Close.
We're here till Thursday. And Josh, I feel like we haven't had much of a conversation since you've started here.
Yeah.
Though the finance team is right next to the marketing team. And we'll see each other in the hall and like say hi and casually. So I'm really excited for this episode, guys. We're in season 2 of Off the Clock Podcast, episode 2. This has been a back-to-back Josh series right now. So we are with one of the newest members of the 5-star team, our CFO, Josh Bell, not the OSU coach, Ryan Day. That joke has been well overused.
Yeah.
I think in 2026, we're going to bury the joke. So you down, Josh?
Yeah, I'm down. No, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about it. It's funny because like you think about how long it's actually been. And when I think of it, it hasn't even been 6 months yet.
Yeah.
Which, at the same time, it's a long time, but it just seems like the time has flown by so fast. A lot of progress, a lot of different initiatives and conversations and just renditions of the business within just a short time. So
well, in the 6 months you have been here, you've made such a large impact in the organization. I think it's very evident. We are seeing that firsthand. Christian has communicated that also, and there are some big things coming. I'm not sure when this episode's going to come out, so I'll just keep that very vague and broad right now, but very exciting stuff. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And so going into it, Josh, you sent me just some information about yourself, and there was one thing that like really stuck out for me is that every 5 years or so, you said you'll pick up the guitar and learn the guitar. And, I definitely look at you. I'm like, maybe because you do look like Ryan Day. It's like I kind of get the more sports, type of vibes.
Yeah.
But and you are into sports. You play basketball and golf and whatnot. But where did the interest for playing guitar come from? And what are some of your favorite songs you can play?
So in my list I sent you, you seen like every 5 years. I didn't say how long I pick it up for. I probably should have started like electric or something like that, but I always went to an acoustic. And I had I got this nice acoustic guitar, and I would try to learn it. My fingers start hurting. Then people were like, "Oh, you just got to push through it. You got to push through it." I could just never get there. And so like, there's a few basic songs. I'm trying to think of some of the ones I used to try to learn. A lot of them usually have like finger picking and stuff in there. And
well, that sounds like an advanced technique for someone who's just kind of learning. You're doing finger picking already.
So funny story. You asked me what song. So there's Banana Pancakes, Jack Johnson. Like I love that like intro with the guitar. Do 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 do. It's not very musical, but
I've heard of Jack Johnson. I'm not familiar with that song, but we're learning about what Josh listens to. So
hey, I like it all. Anything from like calm music. I can do earlier in my life listen to a bit more rap, and then nowadays a little bit more mellowed out.
So like Jack Johnson, he's kind of that more like acoustic, poppy kind
acoustic coffee shop type deal.
So when you're learning these songs, are you like looking at like they're called tabs? So it's like tablature, I think is the word, or you're that's probably how you're
I completely had zero skill, or like I obviously haven't continued on it, but like you'd like find tabs. I'm like, what does that do? And I can't even make the shapes with my fingers. It's still something out there, but it's lowered a little bit on my tier of things to learn.
We have a lot of musicians at the company, and a lot of guitar players too. And I'm sure they can vouch that. I mean, eventually you'll get calluses on your fingertips from like pressing on the strings and whatnot, and you'll develop that strength. But I know it's very awkward at first, kind of picking up a guitar. It looks a lot easier, watching somebody than actually doing it.
Yeah, and there's a lot that I appreciate there, and it's probably a lot like here, where there's so much foundational learning on the surface of like how to read music, like how the different notes go together and rhythm and all of those other things that I just thought I could pick it up and figure out how to make a few strums and figure it out. So,
hey, I respect you wanting to, try something new and something kind of out of the box for what you're typically used to. That's very admirable. And and you tied it back in the 5-star, which is appropriate because I feel like that's like the type of character we all have, is that sometimes you have to kind of go out of the box and, look for a solution that's not so black and white.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even, just to that same analogy, like there's times like you see something and you just want to run at it. And sometimes it's taking a step back, like, hey, there's some foundational things here I need to go figure out, learn about, understand, research, go talk to some people, and then make a run at it. And so I can do it more intelligently. And that's just something, I've picked up over my career of learning, like ask a lot of questions. You'll probably hear Christian say that.
Yeah.
I love to ask questions. It's how I learn. And I think that for me, there's a time in my life and career, like it was an insecurity of like, well, if I ask that question, people are going to think I'm stupid. But what's worse is being stupid and not getting the information you need to figure that out. And I think that it was just something that I matured over time and learned, like, I need to ask questions if I don't understand something.
It's funny. We just did an episode with Josh Anderson, and we talked about this same thing, the importance. That was his advice, is to ask questions. And, I feel like sometimes we want to be viewed as the experts, so we feel, like you said, vulnerable or not confident. Where if we ask questions, we feel like we don't, we're showing, our vulnerability, but actually it's showing strength, because admitting you don't know, but wanting to learn and process instead of just doing it and just completely failing or being wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why we're grateful to have such a good team too of experts around us. We don't know everything, so we're here to help each other. And that's the one team, one goal mentality. I know you didn't come from a home services background. How'd you get a start in finance to begin with, and what led you to 5-star?
Yeah, it's funny because I remember I went to college. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. That obviously didn't pan out.
What position?
I was a pitcher.
Okay, so I could see you being a pitcher.
Yeah, I tore my rotator cuff. It was this long journey. And
you played in college?
I did for a short time.
Okay.
Yeah. Was a pitcher, loved it, was into sports my whole life. And as I graduated, realized I had to do something else, which it was something that I never had this like, ooh, I really want to go do this, or I really want to go do this. I liked numbers. I liked analytics. Decided my first major was actually marketing. And I remember, so I worked at Olive Garden as a server throughout college. And I remember
the Josh Belt origin story. I love this. Let's go.
Yeah. So I was at Olive Garden. It's great. I think that, a little plug, I think everybody should work in the service industry for at least like a year.
Agreed.
But when I was doing that, so like there's people that graduated and like, oh, what was your degree in? Oh, marketing. And I was like, oh.
Wow. I studied marketing. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, this was also, I think it was like 2007, 2008.
Sure.
If you remember back then, like it was really hard to find a job.
Sure.
And so I ended up going more the accounting route, found out I could take a few more classes, do accounting and finance, and ended up doing a double major. And then eventually got my MBA. But that kind of started me off. Still didn't know it. Within accounting, there's all kinds of things you can do. And ended up through a friend of a friend, got a job at a crane factory in Springfield. So for all you Daytonians, I'm from there. I know a little bit more about Dayton. Grew up in Vandalia. Parents still live in Tip City. So started off working for a crane factory. It was a good job. My boss got fired about 2 years in abruptly. So it was a little bit of a battlefield promotion scenario where I had the ability to, prove myself and worked probably 80 to 90-hour weeks for the better part of 2 years. I was single at the time, so I could do that. But it was one of those seasons where like you couldn't learn what you learned any other way as fast, but it was brutal. And I was worn out and I was tired. Transitioned to a plastics factory for a short time. They weren't in great financial shape. Had made some really, challenging decisions that they weren't able to overcome.
And you were able to see the books very quickly in that new role, I'm sure. So you're like, oh, what?
Yeah. Well, you learn things, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about it later, but like you learn from, what I was sold on is I was going to go there and help them get visibility, help them, understand their financial picture a little bit better and turn it around. And you look at the P&L, it's like, oh, they lost $2 million last year. Let me see what they did in January. Oh, we lost more money. Let me look at February. Oh, they lost more money. So it was one of those things that was like, okay, I want to be part of the solution. I committed to it. But at the same time, at some point, you got to see the writing on the wall and do what's best for yourself. So after that, while I was there, transitioned to Columbus, took a job with a real estate investment firm, property management. Worked on just the financial side there for a little while before transitioning. They wanted to start doing renovations and new builds. So transitioned to that. And, I kind of liked it. It was a new thing. It was kind of entrepreneurial. So I started to get into some of the construction and renovation side.
And are these residential properties?
These were multifamily, so apartment complexes.
Okay. A lot of big opportunity probably at that time in Columbus too. I mean, the growth has been huge over the last years.
Yeah, no, it was a great industry to be in. And I think, with every stop along the journey, like you just learn so much.
Yeah.
You learn about the people, you learn the good, the bad, everything in between. And you take a little bit of something out of each workplace. So it was a great company, but, from a growth standpoint, was looking for something that had more growth potential and ended up at my last employer, which was a large general contractor. So they were, $7-8 billion a year. Before I left, I was managing essentially our Ohio and some of our Pittsburgh and Michigan offices. And, it was great. A lot of great things to say about it. And, we had started this conversation here with Christian and Matt last summer, actually. So summer of 2024. They went a different direction at the time. I remember sitting on my couch one night, got an instant message on LinkedIn, and it was Christian. I'm like, what does this guy want?
Oh, this was after the first stint.
Yeah, so this is like May of last year.
Okay.
And so I was looking, and so one thing led to another. I looked at 5-star, and I was kind of going through it. And so we had lunch. Said, hey, we were interested in having the conversation again. So we picked up the conversation. I talked to my wife. I said, from my standpoint, the same reasons I'm interested now are the same reasons I was interested before. And one thing that I did learn in all those stops that I talked about was just culture matters. Who you work with matters. Yeah. People matters. Opportunity matter. Security matter, all those things. And so, I felt like 5-star had a great mix of all of those things. And that's ultimately what part of what drew me here. And so, it's been a really good transition and just I've really enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, no, we've been, I mean, it just still blows my mind. You've only been here 6 months because to your point, you've just fit in perfectly with the culture of this company and your personality and everything. And, Christian and I talked about on, I think maybe our last recap, just how each of your personalities in like the C-suite really complement each other, but nobody is alike. You are not like Christian at all. Yeah. Christian is not like you. You are not like Matt. Matt is not like you. You are not like Lucas. Lucas is not like you. It's like all of you are so different, but you bring different strengths to the table that really help push this company. And you are like definitely the missing piece of that. So,
well, I appreciate you saying that. It's an interesting case study because I think part of that's your willingness to A, not be threatened, and B, to accept it, right? Like I've seen leaders who say, well, they're not like me, so they must not be able to cut it. And they define success through the lens of how they view the world around them. And I think maturity is realizing like, I've been wired this way and that's great. And I'm going to embrace that. But it doesn't mean that everybody else has to be wired the same way as long as they can get results. And I think that, I think with our leadership team, me, myself, Matt, Christian included, like, I think that's a realization is like, hey, you're right. Like they do bring different things to the table and they do approach things differently. But my ability to not just shut them out or them shut me out because we have different ways of going about it or different perspectives, I think that's a huge part of being successful is being able to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a sign of a good leader is someone that wants to lean in towards someone else's strengths, knowing it's not yours. I mean, I just think, logically, that would make the most sense. Like, except, putting your pride and ego aside, hey, I'm not good at everything, but this is why I have him on my team or her on my team to help, lift us up when we need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Josh, just kind of looking back in your life and just some of the successes that you've accomplished, who was a significant role model that you can think of that, helped give you good advice, was a good influence, and really kind of pushed you professionally and personally?
Yeah, I'm going to cheat here a little bit and give you more than one.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not sure if you know this. You said we hadn't had a lot of time to talk, but I'm one of 8 kids. So grew up in a very large family. My dad, he went to worked at Whirlpool for 42, 43 years before retiring. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So like the first one, my father, he worked hard. He was in the warehouse while he was in college. He got his degree, worked his way up through the office and had a really successful career there. And just, from a standpoint of how to work hard, how to balance family and these other things, like he just set a great example. And as kids, we don't always appreciate that. You're thinking about yourself. And so I really appreciated that. The other one, very similar, but a little bit different. My high school basketball coach, his name was Ray Zawatsky. I just had so much respect for him in terms of how he balanced what I consider to be the important things in life. He started his own building supply business, grew it. He recently sold it, cashed out. But he was just such a good, patient leader, and his people respected him. Everywhere he went, he was respected. Obviously he made a lot of money doing it, but, from a family standpoint, he was a great dad. He was a great husband. He had 4 kids and they were well behaved. They were well put together, all those things. But he was at their events. He was doing whatever he could to support them. And then lastly, like from a faith standpoint, that's something very important to me. And I think for him, like just the way that he balanced all of that, I had the opportunity to play for him and then coach for him for a few years. It was just something I really admired. I mean, it was really impressive. And the last one, my first job that I had, there's a gentleman named Ray Peterson. He was a senior controller and we had gotten paired up. He was in Milwaukee, but we got paired up for a few different things. And he kind of took me under his wing and he showed me, you always learn something in life. Like if you've ever had a bad boss, you learn something from that. If you ever had a good boss, you learn something from it. It's a matter of how you take things. And it's particular with this relationship, like, he would just show me, okay, here's a problem. Here's how I'm going to approach it. And you just kind of take that away. And like the both from a career standpoint of how to solve problems, how to leverage the help around you, but also from a personal standpoint, as I was leaving there, he actually was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, was building this huge home, had 6 kids and passed away like 6 months later. And so for me, it was like, okay, it's not wrong to aspire to be successful. It's not wrong to put career on a pedestal, but I also need to place it in context of like the rest of life. And so I think for me, like those 3 guys just had such a big impact on how I view and how I see things. So that's my answer.
Well said, Josh. That was, I think it's really cool that obviously you're more of an analytical mindset. You work in accounting, you're a finance guy, but to see you apply that thought process into observing others around you, and like the 3 men that you just listed, kind of you learn something specifically that you have taken throughout your whole life from each one of them. And I would say definitely the third guy, the controller, and I'm sorry to hear that he passed away, but that's a valuable lesson in itself, and to be able to just kind of sit back and just enjoy what you have and the time that you have with the people you love. So
yeah, absolutely.
So looking back in your life, I believe like the challenges we go through, the obstacles, like you said, happen for a reason because it allows us to learn. And so whether it be the good or the bad, it really strengthens us. It's just like going to the gym and working on a muscle, like you destroy it so it grows back stronger. So what are some challenges that you have faced in your life that has helped shape your outlook on your career and your personal life?
Yeah. As I think about that, there's, not to be vague here, but there's so many answers. And it's interesting because people may be like, Josh, you're a CFO, you've made it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've failed a ton of times. I've made a lot of mistakes just over my life, in my career, but it's what you do with those. And so you talk about hardships, companies downsizing and things tightening up and being laid off, or, making a really big financial mistake that you can hide it and try to sweep it in the rug, try to blame somebody, or you can own it and then learn from it and get better from it. Just all of those things, making a bad hire, you can, going through a rough season where, as a company, you may need to lay people off and have difficult conversations. Challenges where I got imbalanced of, working 90-hour weeks, or, I have my wife and kids at home and I'm not giving them, the best parts of me. You learn from all those things, and yes, lessons are hard and difficult and all of those things. But for me, it's been a lot of, okay, what am I learning from it? And how am I growing as a person through that? And to me, failure is not making a mistake. Failure is staying where your mistake is and refusing to move forward. And so that's, I know the question was about hardship, but that's my perspective and kind of what I've been through there. And part of what's made me who I am today.
Man, that is great advice, folks listening to this podcast. Write that down. That was some wisdom from someone that has gone through it and has failed and learned from it. So, excellent answer, Josh. I think I want to ask this next question, maybe not in the lens of your career. I want to focus more on just your personal life. You mentioned you're a husband, you're a father as well. We met your family at movie night, and they are awesome and wonderful. What were your kids' names again? They had cool names, if I remember.
So Bella's 6. Yeah. Carter is, he just turned 3, actually.
Okay.
Last weekend. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, happy birthday, Carter.
Yeah.
What are some hopes and dreams you have for your family and just the impact you want to make, in your community?
Yeah. I mean, family-wise, my wife loves to interior decorate and all that stuff. We built up in Sunbury back in 2020. It was more of, I'll call it a Chipotle type build where you're picking your ingredients. I think, eventually at some point we'd love to build something, have a little bit more space. I just need a golf simulator. But
you and 20 other people at 5 Star. Yeah. That's the common thing I've heard.
Yeah. We'll have a party. But yeah, that's something we love to do. But in general, I think for me, mentioned, my faith is important to me. I think making an impact on others around you. I've been listening to this Bible in a Year podcast, and one of the things they talked about with Abraham was being blessed to be a blessing to others. And I think for me, I want to make sure that wherever I am and what I'm doing, I'm making a positive impact on people around me. And that, the gifts and talents I have, I'm using them, but it's making other people's lives better in the long run. And I think as I look back, to know that you've had an ability to make an impact on people, and, whether it's as a manager, as a boss, as a CFO, whatever it may be, just not taking that lightly and knowing that you have understanding the impact you have and not being overwhelmed by it, but looking at it as something to take seriously and do the best you can with it, and really relish in the moments that you have. And so I think just being able to make an impact on others' lives around me in a positive way.
I mean, that's what the Lord asks of us. And God wouldn't give you the gifts you have if he didn't think you could steward them correctly. It's just about stewarding your gifts. And, every opportunity you have is an opportunity to help and, reflect the light of Jesus. As Christians, that's what we, strive to be every single day. It's more Christ-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are the newest member of our executive team as our CFO. We're talking the entire company right now. What's up, company? What's up, everyone at 5 Star? What is one piece of advice or inspiration that you just want to give the entire team and maybe connect that to one of our core values?
Yeah. One book I love, I recommend everybody to read it. It's called Atomic Habits. And the principle, and the easiest way I can put it, they talk about, like in the NFL, for example, every team has a goal of winning the Super Bowl every year. And not every team wins it. One team does. So it poses the question, is the problem the goal, or is the problem the systems that lead up to the goal and the people that are executing them? And the principle of the book is Atomic Habits, meaning that the sum and the direction of your life is nothing more than all of the micro decisions that you make daily. So what are you doing? What systems are you putting in place to manage those micro decisions? And that without doing that, you're really not going to achieve those goals. So all that to say, 1, read the book. 2, challenge yourself. If you're getting the same results you've always got, what are the micro decisions that you can make, that you can change, that are going to lead to different results? And so, you can take that across a number of the core values, from being relentless, passionate, whichever one it may be. I love it because it gives me an opportunity to look at something and say, I can't just keep looking at it the same way and expecting something different. So what am I evaluating with my daily decisions? What needs to change for me to get where I need to go?
That's great advice. And it just kind of made me think of just baseball a second, because we talked about earlier, but games are not won by home runs, they're won by base hits. And those base hits are those kind of micro choices in your life that lead up to the big goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes across everything, from the way, your finances to your diet, which obviously I got some work to do there, but, all around, if you want to get more in shape, do you want to leave the remote control on the counter when you get home, or do you want to go hide it somewhere? That makes it more difficult to sit down and binge watch Netflix or whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing with fitness that's helped me is kind of, getting into a routine where it's just like, for me, after work, I'm going right to the gym. I'm not going to allow myself to get distracted at home, right away. And obviously, me being single, it's easier.
Much easier.
But still, I mean, like you said, focusing on those small little choices and just seeing how they compound over time.
Yeah.
So Josh, we would love to just know one just personal fun fact about yourself. I know we talked a little about your hidden musical talent, but is there any other cool interests that people might not know about you?
I mean, I probably got a few. I mean, one, I mentioned earlier, I'm from a large family, so things were always really competitive growing up.
Where are you in the ranking of 8 kids?
So there's eight total kids. Okay. I am the 6th of 8. So it goes girl, boy, all the way down. Girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. But there's about a 21-year age gap top to bottom. So we grew up, we were always playing games, competing, doing different things. I learned to juggle, so I can, not too expert level, but I think I might be able to get some bowling pins going, but definitely 3 balls is pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
I wish we had things to can you just juggle anything, or how confident are you?
I'm pretty confident. I mean, as long as it's the same stuff, same size, weight.
Can we see this? Can you do this? If you break, it's okay. I'm just curious.
I mean,
I don't know, is this an off the clock podcast first, but our CFO is about to juggle random things, and I just want to see this. So if it doesn't matter. Right, there's no consequence here. Hey, okay. I see the motion though.
The microphone definitely throws it for a loop. I feel let me try one more time. Let me see if I can.
By the way, there's no mics in here, obviously. Okay.
It's definitely an awkward carry because it's.
There we go.
There we go.
And hey, there you
Yeah.
go.
Close.
We're here till Thursday.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Well, Josh, thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking the time. This was so fun. And guys, we're into season 2 of Off the Clock podcast. If you want to be a guest on the show, message me. My name is Jared. I'm on the marketing team. You already know me by now, but shoot me a Teams message. We would love to have you in the hot seat. Thank you.